Friendship supreme. Friendship supreme. Finding the geek within.
Hey everybody, my name's Michael.
My name's Cleve.
And welcome back to an exciting, adventurous episode of Friendship
Supreme.
We're the podcast that dares to ask, what happens when you roll a natural 20 for podcasts? You get us, bitches. You
In
get
this
us.
episode. Congratulations, you win.
So we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons, guys. The movie.
Yeah, hot stuff.
And
hot, topical,
this is very
current.
hot and topical. I had to fight like 20 people to be able to watch this.
Yeah.
Those people were the people inside my house that did not want to watch it. I did get an interesting conversation before we get into this. I got an interesting conversation out of this happening.
Okay.
The wife looked at me and goes, so I just need to know, is there a story to Dungeons and Dragons?
Absolutely.
I think that's a fair question. I think she meant the game in general. I think it's a fair question.
That's also fair.
So, like, I think what she meant was, like, are we, like, following Tolkien on his journey to the Shire and the Hobbits and, like, have a storyline that we're following? Mm-hmm. Or, like, what is it that the movie's going to be about? And I think...
Right. Oh no, mages and dragons.
Right. Well, and so she was a part of the segment with us when we did the Honey Heist, and so she's familiar with sort of. She as an introductory to tabletops. Cleve and I are not super familiar with them. We've dabbled, but there is no like definitive storyline, and that's the beauty of Dungeons and Dragons. There are characters and races and archetypes, and archetypes that exist. That are specific within that world and villains and such. And I just, you know, if you think about Stranger Things, you have every villain in Stranger Things is derived from a concept from within Dungeons and Dragons. Your Demogorgon, your Vecna, the Mind Flayer. So like, there is no story though. So that's the beauty of it, right?
Right.
So it was just an interesting question for someone that's outside of the world of Dungeons and Dragons. That like there is no linear line. Like we're not going to go to the theater and see this movie and be like, I know exactly what's going to happen.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a good start.
But you know the world it's set in, and that could be very helpful.
That is fair, and that's why people got super excited about seeing certain things within the trailers. You see mimics. You saw I can't remember which one comes first. It's either the owl or the bear, but the owl bear is what I'm gonna say because it's easier to say. Maybe bear owl. I don't know. Anyway, it's a combination of the two animals. Everyone's really excited about that. Yeah, you get those things, and hopefully you don't fuck it up. But I think the nice thing about it is the story we're about to talk about didn't have to follow a specific line. It just had to stay fantastical.
It had to incorporate a dungeon and a dragon, and they knocked that out in the first minute. So already I had gotten everything that I had paid for.
They sure did. So, Cleve, why don't you tell the people what we're talking about today?
We are talking about Dungeons and Dragons from the year 2000. The original. The reason that Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves has to be called Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves.
That's right. It was so successful, by the way. It's a fucking trilogy, guys. It's a three-peat.
Doesn't always mean the same thing, because Scorpion King also has a lot of movies.
It has 4!
And
Lou Ferrigno's in the 4th.
Yeah, he is. We met him once.
We did meet him.
This movie, you had slipped a little bit to me. It's not as bad as I remember it being. Yes. I remember it being just terrible.
So, little Michael loved this movie. Bought it. I own it. I could not find it, which is sad. But I was willing. I know.
Supposedly.
Someday I will find it, and I'll take a picture and send it to everybody. But I bought it because I really enjoyed it. But like, I got shit on for liking it. Common story for Michael liking shitty movies. So yeah, no, I went into this when Clee's like, "This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna watch the original one. Like, how great will this be?" And I'm like, "Yes, I remember that it's garbage." And then I turned it on, and I was like, aside from a real rough CGI tour, it wasn't terrible.
What's funny, I thought the CGI looked way better than I assumed it was going to look. I was thinking Mortal Kombat Annihilation bad.
Oh, it felt about that for me.
It actually looked, I mean, the dragons resemble dragons. Like,
if there were too many on the screen or they were trying to do too many complicated things, that's when it started to get kind of funky.
I will say the little eye thing, we did not successfully translate the eye thing.
And that is something that people were really excited to see. I don't remember what the thing's called, but yeah.
Look, I feel like you're asking a lot of us to make that thing look great. I mean, let's talk about the story. How'd you feel about the story? I felt like the story was
The Beholder. I had to know.
Fine.
It was fine. It was your typical.
It was a typical
fantasy.
It's
story.
your starter Dungeons and Dragons quest.
Here's where I think Honor Amongst Thieves is going to succeed where the others failed, or where the other one failed. Is that that's fair. There were 2 or 3 that really felt like it kind of held back. But this might be the root of what you're saying. The last 10 years, we'll say 10 years, we have had a resurgence and a rise in nerd culture.
Right.
It is now an openly accepted community. In fact, we were talking about Lou Ferrigno. We were in line to see Lou Ferrigno, and one of the funniest things was hearing Lou Ferrigno say to the person sitting next to him how amazing it was to be in a comic book store that he was in, because he remembered as a kid he didn't know where to go for comic books because they didn't that wasn't a thing. Like, you had to go to the corner store and get it and hopefully find, but you didn't find people like-minded. You didn't get to go to conventions.
Right.
So for this semi-iconic individual within the nerd community to be like, holy shit, like, it's pretty cool that we have comic book stores and people like nerdy things now. For them to have done almost no advertising for Lou Ferrigno and it to essentially be jam-packed the entire time, like that speaks to the fact that there are lots of nerds out there. But Stranger Things has done a lot with D&D. You have your Matt Mercer that does the Critical Role. There's the other one I cannot think of, but there's
Dimension 20.
Thank you. Maybe that. Yeah, sure. There's another one I know that's also very popular.
The College Humor one, right?
Yeah. Is that Dimension?
Yeah, I think yeah.
Okay. And so you have these mainstream. It's a big thing now, and so studios are willing to dump money into this now that they would not have back then.
You would not have gotten I would say big star like Chris Pine.
Yeah.
To do a movie in 2000.
I was to say early 2000. You're talking high action films and thrillers. I don't like. There was no like. We're still what 2 years out from Spider-Man. Is it 2002 that
I believe. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that was.
We might have had X-Men. I think X-Men might have come before Spider-Man, but I mean,
I'm looking at the top actors in 2000. It's like Bruce Willis, Tom Hanks, Mel Gibson, Nicolas Cage, Eddie Murphy, Jim Carrey. Adam Sandler. Maybe Jim Carrey and Adam Sandler. You would have got to do one. Maybe.
You might have been able to get Jim Carrey to replace Marlon, like that kind of like the comedic role. But
Yeah.
honestly, Marlon didn't do a terrible job.
Marlon played Marlon.
He did,
For
which
sure.
is I think what you wanted. I think that's why they picked him.
Right.
That's why they.
Parts of me disliked him, and I felt like we made the dwarf dumb.
I hate.
So why does he have to be so dumb?
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't know why we made any of the characters super dumb.
Right.
The dwarf
There
was
was
essentially purposeless.
There was one line where he didn't do anything.
He did nothing.
There was one line where he was to have a dwarf on the team, so you could have an elf, a dwarf, a mage.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
But there was a line where he was like, "I think I'm in love," and he was like, "Okay, I just wanted to hit it," and I'm like, "This is not good
Fair.
writing." I know that Marlon. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he lived that line, and I'm like, the fact that you guys let this stay in here is impressive to me.
I can appreciate the relationship they tried to create between the two. It was a common.
They didn't have a terrible relationship.
No, and it's a common like that. I'm telling you, this was like textbook early 2000s movies going on, as far as what they were trying to. But they were just trying to jam it into nerdy stuff, and like, it was very obvious that we didn't have necessarily a love for what we were doing. Whereas now, I think that's it. Like, the producers and the directors that are coming up now are the guys that are like, oh, I fucking grew up playing this shit, or I love this. Mm-hmm. And like, Mario, I loved Super Mario. That's why I want to make this movie, not let's cash in the check.
I bet there's a niche for this, and then they make a movie. I didn't enjoy a lot of like Star Wars Episode 1 and 2 feel to this. And a lot of politics.
You would have thought that they would have. Well, you would have thought they would have learned. But I think when Phantom Menace first came out, Phantom Menace came out in 1999. I want to say 2001 is when the second one came out. And I'm blanking. Battle of Clones. Attack. Sorry. I think that this guy thinks he's a Star Wars fan. Can't even get the second. God damn it. I think that the first one, when Phantom Menace originally came out, while there was naysayers, I don't think people were nearly as negative as they are now about one when it first came out. Because I thought the same thing. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, you would think that these guys had to have been like, man, you know what was the worst part of that Star Wars movie? The politics. Because how fun is it to sit in a council room and just watch a bunch of old angry white men rabble at each other?
It could have just been the Empress was kidnapped.
Yeah.
And I could have been like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. You need to go save her.
It could have been two warring lands. Like, if you wanted there to be a war, that's fine. Like, let's just say land of A wants to attack land of B with dragons.
The orange dragons and the red dragons.
Right, I would have been fine with that. Yeah, but like they tried to be like, oh, look at this sneaky politics. And, Jeremy Irons, great villain, right?
I mean, always. Yeah. Always a great villain.
He might have done it over the top on this one.
He can't do it over the top. He's a great villain here. He's a great villain in Lion King. He's a great villain in fucking Die Hard 3. Great villain.
I think he might have been a little over the top at some times.
How can you be in a Dungeons and Dragons movie?
That's fair.
It gave me a lot of Street Fighter vibes.
For
Bison.
Yes. Where he was the fantastic, like, he did great, but like the role was just rough. Cause like Bison, like everybody always now is like that was a great role. He did the best he could do for what the movie was.
Put his heart in it.
Right. I will tell you, Draymond, blue or purple lipstick guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a weird dynamic between him and Jeremy Irons, because like both could easily have been the big bad guy.
I was waiting for something like that. Yeah. I was waiting for
a double cross.
Dumbledore to like, fucking sneak in there. like for Jeremy Irons to kill him because he's done with him now, and I think none of those things happen.
They even like hinted, like at first it was like, yeah, get rid of this thing in me. He's like, okay, blap. And then he started like looking like he was about to die, and he was, no, I'm good now. Thanks.
Yeah, you got it out.
Thank you, Papa.
Hey, you kept your promise.
At
We're
one,
good friends.
At one point in time,
Him and I.
he's like, I don't want to be with Jeremy Irons' character. I want to be with you guys. I just have a thing in my face. I think he was trying to be relatable, but like at the same time, it also very much could have at that point been like, oh shit, like maybe he is gonna double cross Jeremy Irons and stab him or something.
Yeah, I was like, I am assuming that I'm supposed to put together that he was just doing that to try to trick her.
Nah, that's the assumption.
Yeah. But I don't like that I should have to assume.
I more meant like his presence in general, though. He gave that vibe of, I am the bad guy.
I thought I knew him from something. I do not.
Is he not the guy? Oh, no, is that Billy Zane that plays the bad guy in Mummy? He looks like the bad guy in the Mummy.
He does look like the bad guy in the Mummy. He's not the bad guy in the Mummy.
Is that Billy Zane? I don't remember.
His name is Bruce Payne.
Yeah.
And he is known for Passenger 57, Absolute Beginners, Highlander Endgame, and Creators The Past.
I mean, I've definitely seen Highlander Endgame. I think I've watched all the different Highlanders.
I thought it was the guy from Mortal Kombat. The second one? You watch all the Highlanders?
I think I've seen all the Highlander movies at some point in my childhood.
It's interesting.
I liked the concept. I thought it was a neat concept. I just, I needed them to tone down his outfit. Maybe is what I'm really getting at here.
Was it the blue lipstick?
The blue lipstick. I don't care.
Honest.
No, I don't care. I just assumed like that was his raise. It was just supposed to be a part of his lips. I don't care. Didn't care about that. It's the whole facade we got going on. He really looked like Darth Vader at that point, just without a helmet.
Yeah, it's funny that you talked about Jeremy Irons like overdoing it, because I saw somewhere where it was like, hey, why did you decide to do the film? And he was like, he's like, are you kidding me? I just bought a castle. I had to pay it off somehow. I'm like, oh, so fair enough. You were just like, we get that sweet check.
I get it. Okay, so going back to the story, I guess. So like I said, the villains were okay. The storyline was a very average storyline. I liked Snails. I think it was a necessary character, but I can see where you're coming from, that like maybe we could have just not been Marlon Wayans and been our own version of comedy.
I didn't mind Marlon Wayans being Marlon Wayans. He gave a lot of the Wayans brothers vibes, and I assume when you cast him, that's what you're casting him for, right? You want that. It just felt like they pushed the button and the illusion came out, and he's like, he's getting all scared, and Ridley, who's the main guy, stops and he fucking stumbles over him, and he's like on top of that. I mean, I didn't mind other shit he was doing. Like he was walking by and he'd look back and forth and grab something and walk off. Like, I didn't mind some of him, but other parts of him, I was like, this is, like you were saying, Jeremy Irons was too much. I think they put too much on him. Yeah,
that's fair. I don't think that's an unrealistic.
For the only black guy that you see, and then you kill him. Maybe he doesn't have to be a buffoon.
But you know what? All right. You know what? I respect what you said there. Here's something I will say. I don't think they got enough props, like good jobs, in the costume and makeup department. Like in the background, there were some phenomenal fucking characters back there. They were real proud of one of their costumes because he just kept showing up. It was the gentleman that was hunched over.
Yeah, whatever he was.
He kept showing up everywhere. And so they were real proud of him. But there was some really good makeup. I was like, holy shit, like, these look movie ready. Like, these are not like... I mean, come on, guys. We've watched some shit here, guys. We watched Velocipaster. We've watched Samurai Cop. Like, we've watched some shit that has not gone well.
Yeah.
It's like, give them their dues. Like, they did a good job. Like, that was a solid. There was never a time where I was upset at the physical costuming and makeup decisions that they made.
The set was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
The set looked fine.
CGI rough, but I won't give them that. Like I said, it's I mean, I think the things that look,
you know my feel on that, but yeah, I get you.
Right. Well, yeah, and I think that's the point. I think that this is the era of Star Wars. This is the era of like new Star Wars, the first trilogy one or whatever. This is like where everything's too smooth. It looks too out of place because it's too fancy and high tech. You know, with Cleve's point is always, whenever we're talking about stuff like this, Jurassic Park came out in what, 93, and if Jurassic Park can do it that long ago, like, why are these other people not? And I think that's it.
Yeah,
because Jurassic Park was using practicality. Like, they were using all kinds of tricks and stuff to make it work, whereas we got into the early 2000s era and we were heavily relying on computers that should not have been doing it.
Well, you know what? I think, yeah, like you were saying, the simplicity of it, but also, like, know what you've got.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, I guess that's fair, right? Because games back then, I'm sure we were like, oh my God, this looks like real thing. And then it's like, you know, fucking, it's a guy jumping onto a vine that swings back and forth like a little stick figure. We were like, man, it's like we were there. But
it's a pitfall for you young fellas.
You know, I also just feel like the writing wasn't good. I had a lot of problems with a lot of the dialogue. Anytime that I can think of a line that you should have said that was better than what was said, I have a problem with it.
That's fair. The writer for this did not go on to do much. I mean, much successful things.
My main example is when Ridley finished The Maze, which was just 2 hallways and then a room with a second hidden room.
Someone was a huge fan of what's the fucking third Indiana Jones? Not third.
The Order of the Indiana Jones.
Second one. No, yeah, third one.
You're making it worse for me.
Third one. It's when they go for the cup of
gotcha.
The Holy Grail.
Yeah, like one hallway, and then we're watching him. I'm like, this maze is terrible. If we're watching, you can just tell him where to go.
It was not so much a maze, more just a trial of things to solve.
Right.
Escape room.
Well, a trial of 3 things. Yeah, three escape rooms, and then we're done. But it was very odd because they very clear were like maze.
Yeah,
this is a maze. No one can survive. I'm like, but you see what's coming. Like
I thought it was gonna be like a giant chunk of the movie was gonna be like, here's the maze, like we're gonna go through it and explore.
Big side quest, right?
Yeah, it could have been fun.
Well, or like, he's like, no one's been able to solve it. I'm like, well, I mean, you guys are watching the whole thing. Nobody's prepared to deal with anything that's coming up. Like, I'm gonna bring a shield.
That's fair because it's double cross in the end.
Or like the blankets for the fire. Like, you can plan for these things. Like, it doesn't have to be. It's not some. Does the room change? I didn't
even think about that because you're right. Because at the end, the guy double crossed and was like, "I've been waiting for somebody to do that, so I didn't have to, so I can get this thing." And you're right. So what have you guys been watching people? And you're like, "Man, I wish I could get that."
You ever watch like a show where people were doing something and you're like, "You should do it this way, not this way." Yeah, they've had years of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that Demodor comes in, right? And he says, where did it go? Who are you? And he says, I'll teach you pain. And his response was, you got to be joking. And what I thought was when he said, who are you? I expected him to say something like, the man who cannot fail. Because he had just gotten the fucking thing put in his ear, right? And it was like, I'll teach you pain. And it's like, you know, you've experienced a lot of pain. Maybe be like, you know, there's no pain that you can show me that I have not already seen. Or just, you know, something menacing and cool. Not, you've got to be joking. Like, It's as simple of a fucking response as I could think of. Ah,
I just
it
want
was just,
to.
huh? No, it was just annoying to me.
I just want to point out one of the solutions to the escape room was to just smash the clock.
Well, you smash the hourglass, but if the glass goes,
Empty.
then all the sand is rushed
Yeah.
out. That's bad, right? We don't want
One would
we don't
think.
want the sand to
One would
rush
think.
out.
One would
I
think that
thought
that's
maybe you
not a
would just
solution.
flip it again or something. There was
Uh,
no smarts involved in solving any of
no,
these.
one of them was you
Look,
walked in and there's an eye with a flame around it, and then you look on the ground, there's a bunch of different eyes, and it's like, man, what do I do? I
I
don't
like that.
know.
You might get more of a success rate on killing the person if the so he pushes down on different eyes to see which eyes set off the thing,
uh-huh.
and then he jumps from one to one. As he's jumping from one to one, some of them switch. I don't know if somebody's controlling that
It's
or
like,
if they just switch randomly.
it's like the water ride at Six Flags where you can pay $1 to fucking flip it. Let me put my coin in and just flip the fucking tile. Yeah, that's great.
But once he starts getting the hang of it and he realizes what one to go on, the wall starts moving. Maybe the wall should move right when you come in. Like
Immediately. So you
you
don't have
come
some time
in,
to
door
figure things out.
shuts.
Maybe we're remembering why this movie was bad.
Or the swinging axes. Like I don't know. Climbing on top of them, I guess, is fine, right? How else do you get around a bunch of fucking axes?
Yeah, it's fair. I think that this was your traditional Knight's Tale, changing your stars kind of story, and I didn't care for that part of it.
I'm a thief.
Nobody can wield this staff, but a mage. And then like it was like then all of a sudden he's doing it, and he's like, that's impossible. And he's like, or is it?
What is a mage? Maybe I don't understand what a mage is.
Just a magician. I mean, not a like. No, like it's a scholarly wizard, I believe.
Gotcha. So someone who studied magic.
Highfalutin, like the.
So, but like, I don't know. I guess if I just believed in it enough, I could do the same thing, right? Like, I don't need to study.
A
I just think
magician
real
or a
hard.
learned person.
Yeah, he just thought really hard and then he
Like
did
a
it.
highly educated magician.
I liked his face when he got the staff. He's like,
He makes a face.
yeah, it was intense. What did you like about this movie? I like that in the council room, everyone had their own little cubicles with their little curtains.
I really. Okay, so there wasn't a lot that I hated. I just need to say that I hated one thing though, and it was the Empress. But I didn't.
A child actor, huh? Strikes again.
Yeah, she's the kid from fucking Hocus Pocus, by the way. The little sister.
Yeah, I was like, I know you, but I don't care to look it up. Good for her getting all these roles.
I don't know what it was.
She should have came back in the second Hocus Pocus. Maybe she did. I didn't watch it. Continue.
I think that whoever did this movie watched too much Star Wars, like too much of the Phantom Menace. They watched it a couple times and were like, "Let's squeeze some things in." What did I like? I liked the elf. I liked
that elf that Marlon Wayne was trying to smash.
I liked most of the
And
characters.
she was like, "I'm 200."
Yeah,
he's like, "What?"
At least he reacted that way, and not like Tim Allen, who was like, "That might not be a problem." When the little girl was like, "I'm actually 100 years old," he's like, "Well, you're my age now." Fucking goddamn it.
Oh.
Anyways,
Was that an episode of Home Improvement?
no, it's Santa Claus.
Hey, I don't know. I didn't watch all of Home Improvement either. Silly things I liked. I liked when Jeremy Irons was trying to control the dragon and he couldn't do it. He's like, and then he changed clothes, right? Because you're not supposed to know that he's the bad guy to the people.
Yeah.
But then his fucking henchman still looks like a mashup between Vader and Shredder. Like he didn't change clothes. That's still menacing. That guy's probably in on it. Who would have thought that guy who had this man on his side could have possibly been a villain?
Who? Oh my god! I would have never guessed. The
It's
man
like
that
an
the man that has imps just randomly appearing on his fucking shoulder, going, "Me." Like, oh
yeah,
what? That's the villain.
like it's like when you see a redhead, a guy with blue hair, and a Meowth together, probably Team Rocket.
No, never. To announce our truth.
Also, if my boss can put something in my fucking head whenever I fail, I just don't come back.
Accurate.
I think we're in an era where I can just go to the other town.
How do you silently quit that job?
He's fucking. You know what? You leave your clothes and your armor like you've been evaporated because that could happen, and then you just
Oh shit!
fucking
You know,
put on a shirt and pants and go to the other town.
those giant chambers that they have underneath the dungeon where they just got fucking dragons sitting there. Just put your clothes like tattered around that and like old Dormammu was stuck in there again. Nah.
I like that Ridley and Snail were stealing, and he's like, "Stop touching things." I'm like, "That's how I steal, by touching it."
Fair.
Also, the names. I feel like why did we give Marlon fucking
Snails.
Snail?
Yeah, I didn't care for that name.
And every other name is like, a fucking name.
I wouldn't have had a problem with like a weird name because that's
Yeah.
common, right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, no, I thought Snails was a rough name. I
Yeah.
really
Was it when the dwarf was dry humping the air? You gotta get
I
some
don't
chin
know- I
hair
don't
that you can
under-
hang on to.
I don't understand the dwarf. I didn't understand why we. I don't know. It feels like we could have done better with his development. I guess I was asking for a lot there.
Did you like the info sucking scene when he took his ear tentacles and put it on her ears and took the information out?
He did. He sure did just steal that information right out of her head.
Sucked it right out of her.
There is a
Did you
part
like-
that I was going to say I really liked, and I cannot remember it. So keep talking.
That's what I keep
and
naming stuff. Did you like that, like, Dungeons and Dragons is just a world where everyone's super racist about everybody?
They are. Why?
I don't like elves. I don't like dwarves. I don't like thieves. I don't like mages.
Like, nobody likes nobody, man. I don't get it.
You know what I really liked?
Yeah.
And this is a genuine, the sand rug trap.
Yo.
I thought that was really good.
I liked it. He was like, this is too easy. This is too easy. Yeah, this is really easy. And then just right into the sand.
Because, like, but also, like, do you have to reset that every time someone gets in it? Like, do you have to relay it? Does it just do it itself by magic?
How often does housekeeping get fucking lost? Hello, Mr. Drummer. I'm here to go ahead and clean up your room.
Demodor or whatever can't come home drunk one night because what if you accidentally steps in the fucking trap?
But you know what? You have a one night stand. She starts getting a little clingy. Hey, babe, we go grab me my wallet on the nightstand next to the carpet.
I like when he's like,
oh shit,
just like a thief, always taking things that aren't theirs. I'm like,
that's the definition, ma'am. Thank you.
You said a thief.
It was real weird to me that the elf came to the bar and was like, he's like, you looking for someone or are you looking for anyone? And she's like, I'm looking for someone. And she knew she was looking for him and his group. And then we just didn't do anything with that for a while. Like she waited for them to run away and shit and then deal with other things. Like that was the time when she could have been like, oh yeah, come with me back here and we'll talk and then arrest him.
But okay, while you're thinking of what you actually like,
I can't. This is gone. It's gone forever. I don't know.
Let's talk about the Marlon's death. The one like scene that felt the most serious.
We killed the black guy. Yeah.
The one scene where we killed the one of two characters of color. There were some extras, but really, talking roles.
Couldn't Ridley have died though? Wouldn't it have been more
If
meaningful?
only. If only.
Wouldn't it have been more
No,
meaningful?
he had to hold the beautiful sword. This is 2000. We weren't ready for that.
Marlon can't hold the beautiful sword?
No.
Anthony Mackie can't hold the shield? What do they want, people?
He gets beat up, right? He turns around and then fights. I'm like, okay, cool.
I
He
didn't understand it.
he gets a shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
Part didn't you understand?
The map. I didn't understand why that was the like pushing point. That was when the camel the straw snapped on the camel's back for
Well, they don't even need the map anymore, right?
right. Like he throws the map in like a defiant manner, which it goes a foot. It goes like
I
a
was
foot
gonna
away
say,
from
I'm like, we could have reshot this like little toss that he did with the wrist.
Yeah, he threw it like a foot, and then
Did they even grab it when they left?
Nobody grabbed it. He tossed it, and then Dale Dimmadome just stabs him.
Wait, didn't they have to use it to get to the
actual staff? Because they had the eye.
Why did they teleport into the map? And anyway, let's talk about the Marlon's death.
Yeah, so Marlon throws the map, right? And then Dale Dimmadome stabs him.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's very sad. And that's very sad.
No.
Yeah.
And then he tossed him off a building because stabbing him death opened it up. And then I guess they came back for his body because they buried him later.
Here's the funny thing: they couldn't. There's no way, right? They didn't come back for his body.
Long trip, yeah.
It was a long trip.
They just gave him a grave.
They just put a couple of rocks, and then I love. Oh, you know what? My favorite thing above everything else. Because when it started happening, like throughout the movie, there was a couple times where I would narrate it. Like I could just imagine a dungeon master saying the things. Like
that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Continue.
And so I'm sitting there watching at the very end, and I'm like, and as the party gives a very sad, eulogy about their friend, they all, for a brief moment, sit there in silence and remorse as they see the etching of the name disappear. And they're like, they feel warmth in their hands and the egg. And then they all decide to touch the warmth. And I love that the lady's like, don't fucking question it. That's it. Like, don't fucking question it.
Magic got a magic, big dog.
And that's like, in this movie, that's the whole premise, right? Elves are like, magic is magic. It's gonna magic all at once.
I don't know. I was born into this shit, dog. I can't explain to you what I've done my whole life.
And so I just imagine Dungeon Master saying this, and I'm like, hey, you lost your friend, but at the end, like, he
might be out there.
You destroyed the staff, and you saved all the dragons, which the elves alluded to were like more than just a weapon. They're the source of magic.
The source of magic, yeah.
And so you saved it, and because of this, magic is bestowing upon you some kind of kindness, and because of that, now your friend exists, and you all feel the warmth, and you all touch the eye in your hands, and then you suddenly transfer to a magical place where the credits roll. And you'll never know what might have happened. Here's the thing.
I thought that was them saying that like they could go save him or something.
No, that was like, I think it's like going to transport them to wherever they needed to be and also bring him there. Because remember, they were like, we got to go get knighted. And I imagine the next scene, had they had one, would have been all of them appearing. And then you see Snails there and everybody starts crying. And then they both get to be knights because that would be the appropriate thing to do. That would be the appropriate thing to do. They were both there. They both did the thing.
He was reluctant, but also I also would have been.
Yes.
Like, look, I don't need none of what that is.
No.
Those are going to start a war. I don't even live here.
I don't even like these people. These people don't like me. They didn't need me until all of a sudden it was like, hey, help us save the world.
I enjoy when he's like, you don't care about my friend's dead? And she's like, I do care about your friend's dead. You don't know. I'm so sad about it. I'm a mage, and mages have feelings, and I have feelings, and you don't know. And he was like, for a mage, you're pretty smart. And then kiss. And I was like, that's the line that got you? That's what I mean about the writing.
The the thing that cracked me up was like, you done beat the shit out of your best friend that you've been best friends with for life, as far as we're concerned.
Mm-hmm. That you're all each other had, at least.
And like, you didn't even make an effort to, like, I don't know, figure something out to like try to save the situation. He scratched your girl. And he was like, "You're dead now.
Oh, he fucking lost it.
You're gonna die now with my lightning sword. Welcome to Lightning Sword Town, bitch."
I like when Damadou stabbed Riley
Yeah.
like right in the between the collarbone, and the sword like went down to like the handle, and she threw pixie dust at him, and she was like, "Get up, come on!" I'm like, I fucking there was a whole sword in my stomach. From my neck to my stomach was sword.
Ugh.
Give me a second. I'm dying.
Yeah, you know how you know
I
they
should
didn't.
be dead.
You know how they know you. You know they didn't go for the body with go back for the bodies because they took Ridley to the elves. The elves were like, "Don't worry, he's good."
Put some Salt Bay on it.
Had they brought your boy Snails out, hey, maybe he could have lived too then.
Yeah, they gave the dwarf terrible personality. They gave the elf no personality.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, no, this wasn't good.
It wasn't
I
great.
thought I thought I was having a good time, and then like the more I think of it, I'm like, I didn't have a good time.
Maybe it's because we went into it with such bad expectations.
That was a little bit better. Yeah, how'd you feel about that elf boob armor? It was like Batman level boob armor.
It was like, hey, I got boobs.
You have to put each boob into the armor first, and then put it against yourself.
Yeah,
they don't just rest in it.
Same thing with each ab.
You know what was weird? There was a scene where the elves gave him the sword, and she translated for them, and then they walked away, and then the two elves said something to each other, and then it cut, and it didn't give us subtitles. And I was like, what was I supposed to... A lot of times when I watch stuff, I'll go, what was I supposed to get out of that scene? And I thought about it with that scene, and I'm like, nothing. I don't know what else to get out of that. They said something to each other. It might have been a joke. It might have been like they're both dead. It might have been like, really hope they come through. Like, I'll never know. Is it like the script for Groot where it all actually means something and it's just the people who delivering the lines know? I'm so curious. The end where Dumbledore and Ridley fight, right? First of all, he's behind him, calls attention. Bad move. Should just stab him in the back.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe
Easy peasy. We have no honor.
Maybe he's like, you killed my friend. We're doing this, you and I, right? Doing a big old fight. He does his backflip. Stab him in the back.
Yeah.
Just stab him in the back. If you're just gonna stab people in the back, you wasted a lot of time and energy. You could have just stabbed this man in the back.
But you had to like make a show of it.
I guess you could have made a show with Jeremy Irons. I feel like that was the most anticlimactic thing that we could have done.
His fight was rough. When he just sat there with the fucking, when he was just sitting there with the staff and like, all right, yeah. You know what? They really blue balled the fuck out of Ridley on this one. Ridley had a real chance to really be the hero, and instead he lied on the ground and winced the whole time the Empress fought Jeremy Irons. He easily could have gotten up and been like, let me stab.
She was the main character.
Yeah,
that was the moment for them to like all interact in the fight, and then it's like, hey, look what we did as a team.
Right. But was she main character?
But we killed off the other main character. Who was just trying to get into some Elf Strange.
He could have touched a boob at least, God.
There was also a part where they went to go get the map and the girl, Marina, maybe, and the dwarf wanted to help, and she's like, "This is for them to do." And I was like, "Why? Why is this for them to do? Why can't they have help? I don't understand." Had the dwarf been there, Snails probably wouldn't have gotten it. So maybe they needed help because there was only two of them and a whole base full of bad guys.
We couldn't afford the no-name dwarf for more than a couple days. He
While
was
while
actually a day
Dumbledore
laborer from Home Depot.
while Dumbledore was walking slowly behind him like Friday the 13th. Man, I wasn't even worried about it. I'll catch you, motherfucker. Don't worry, I get my hands on you.
I know this place real well. You make that turn.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to say best movie ever or worst movie ever, it's the worst movie ever.
It's
But
not,
like,
it's neither. It's
I said if I had to say the best movie ever or the worst movie ever, I definitely I won't visit this again.
no.
This is the go.
This was the go.
This is my adult time watching this movie, and we're done.
I would pay $1 at the Dollar Theater to see it.
No, I paid more than that to see it, and I'm sad. I paid $3, and 2 people watched it, and it was too much money spent on that.
Would your
I should have just watched it on
significant other
YouTube
think
with
about
ads. No, she went to sleep. She went to sleep and came back at the end. Totally understand.
it? It was out of 10 dragons, I give it 3 dungeons.
Out of 10, you said 10 dragons?
Yeah.
Out of 10 dragons, I give it 1 dragon egg that you try to scramble and you overcooked.
That's not a 1 out of 10. A 1 out of 10, like...
You couldn't tell me your good part of the movie. You can't keep defending it if you can't tell me the good part.
It was all okay.
You can't defend the movie if I'm like, tell me the part you enjoyed, Michael, and you're like, come back to me.
Okay. Every part of it was okay.
No, not every part of it was okay.
Not every part. A lot of parts of it were okay.
Okay.
You know what?
Were
It's
there
like
more
Waffle
bad
House.
parts than okay parts?
It's like Waffle House. Like, should you go there? Probably not. But are you going to get something when you go there? Yeah. You going to come out full? Probably.
I'm going to try to get you to where I'm at. Were there good parts?
Not ones that I can name.
Okay. So there were okay parts.
There were okay parts.
And there were bad parts.
There were really bad parts.
Okay. Were there more bad parts than okay parts?
No. I think there were more okay parts than there were bad parts.
I don't know.
Fair. That's
Which
why I
is
said
why
the 3.
the scrambled, overcooked egg.
That's why I said 3. I think 3 is...
You sit down with your plate and you take a bite and you go, oh, now I gotta eat this. That's how I felt watching the movie. Oh.
The whole time I wasn't... There's times where I've watched things for podcast and crime where the entire time I'm like, I fucking hate my life. And this, I didn't do that.
Okay. So, because you've seen the depths of hell,
yes,
you're like, House on Fire is not that bad.
Yeah.
At least the rest of the neighborhood's not on fire. Like,
right. There's some good that came out of it. If you guys have...
don't say that, because you literally can't give me a good part that came out of this. The laughs. That's what came out of it. Worst case scenario, we always fall back on the friendship. And Theodore Rex was good. I don't know what you're talking about.
Theodore Rex was fine. The good part...
That's not the one that you're like, I hate this?
No. The Skin Trace or whatever. God, I hated that movie so much. The good part was, again, I go back to the good part was makeup and costumes. They did a phenomenal job. Good job out there.
I thought you were gonna give me a scene. Cool. Yeah. So you just like the setting.
Yeah, I appreciated the effort that they went through to do that.
They shot it in New Zealand and it was beautiful.
Yeah, but also the makeup. Again, I think that they did a really good job of creating a scenery.
I just want to double check.
Even the Third Eye guy. Third Eye guy was good.
He
was creepy.
He looked like
but
a pterodactyl.
It looked good. Like it looked like believable.
Okay,
like,
so
right,
him and the guy hunched over.
Yeah, there was a couple other different creatures that, like, as they were going, not creatures, but beings.
What about of the cast?
I mean, the cast is the most basic bitch fucking cast. Like, it was an elf, a dwarf, and so you got yourself a short person, and put some red hair on him, and then weirdly gave him like one patch on top of his head. I didn't understand that. Also, real curious about this. I don't know if anybody knows anything
Here it
about
comes.
chainmail.
Michael's gonna talk about the good parts.
Chainmail on the side of the face felt like it's really like at that point.
You turn your face whenever it comes.
Yeah, but like it's open here, so it just kind of sits there like hair. Really, you just pull your little knife up it and then stab in. Anyway,
Sure, it was harder back then.
And like the elf is just put some pointy ears on her and then give her a pixie cut.
I need the most fair-skinned woman, like the most beautiful skin on a person you can find, and then put pointy ears on her.
Yeah, and then
if she has light eyes, that's ideal.
And then you had 3 human beings, thieves and a mage. So like the costumes there were at best, they're fine. So Dr. Dre, he had a phenomenal costume.
So what you're saying is the best costumes you saw
in the background, yeah,
were a couple of people in the back.
Yeah, I think they did a great job.
Who probably brought their own cosplay.
No.
You don't know. You don't know.
The costume department did a solid out there, guys. If you guys have ever seen this movie, let us know what your favorite part of it was down below, so Michael can try to remember what the good was, because he's having a real tough time because Cleve just keeps reminding him of all the bad.
I reminded you of the movie, sir. You decided that was bad.
Hopefully, you guys enjoyed today's episode. I know at least one of us did. You guys, if you have any suggestions on things you'd like to hear us talk about, please let us know. We have the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves coming out soon, which we will be seeing as well, and maybe we'll talk about that too in comparison to this. I did want to point out that Drew Carey, he dies in it, right? Dormammu Drummond, the Death Destroyer.
Gotcha.
He dies at the end.
Yes.
They stab him, he flies off the fucking balcony. He's the only character that comes back in the second movie. Nice. I'd love to know how.
Makes perfect sense.
I'd love to know how. And I think he's like the main villain in that one, so that makes more sense. Yeah, in a world where Netflix movies or Netflix shows are getting better graphics than anything that ever even came close in the year 2000, it's easy to look back and be like, this is rough. But let us know what you guys thought. You guys can reach to us at any of the social medias that we have. They're all Friendship Supreme, except for Twitter. On Twitter, it is Friendship Supreme with no eyes, because all eyes should be on our YouTube channel, where you can see us talk and see, things. Like, sometimes Michael gets up and goes and grabs a can of Coke, and then Cleve catcalls him. Thank you for hanging out with us. I've been Michael.
This is Cleve, and you have the power of the immortals. You can control dragons.